It's the same key?
It's unlocked.
No, I know, but it's the same key, right? Yeah.
Same key for everything. Just twist off, take it when you push it back on. 91, you know that.
Honda VTX, bro. This thing scoots. Let's have a little fun. Wow, this is just a lot more bike. Holy sh**. Oh man! Wow, what a difference. What a difference, dude. This thing is a tank. Let's get on it. I ain't splitting. Not about that life. Only sometimes. This thing just has so much more authority to it. Woo! Come on, Dodge, let's go. Let's go! Let's go! The range on these gears is amazing. It's wow, scraped my boot a little. Third gear. Oh, dude, this thing sounds sweet. So, initial impressions of the VTX. Wow, bro. This thing cruises. Let me tell you. Wow. This is the ultimate cruising machine, man. This is, wow. I mean, just look at my stance. This is just like, it's like riding a couch. It's like riding a couch with a whole bunch of torque. It's exactly how this experience is. And the way you can lean is so different from riding a dual sport. Its stance is so much lower. The tires are so much wider, so it allows you to really get that lean into the part where you're just scraping peg. But wow, dude, this thing is comfy on the highway. Let's talk about cruisers versus any other bike, not just dual sports. Now, I feel like cruisers kind of get that bum rap. They're not everyone's bike that they want. I know a lot of guys who like cruisers, and I know there's the cruiser stigma where, you know, only old guys ride cruisers, only 50-year-old dads just like mine ride Harleys. I get it. But cruisers are so comfy to ride though. And I feel like not a lot of channels have cruisers except for like Do It With Dan, but this Magna's sick. It kind of beats the hell out of it. But I feel like a lot of them don't have this just because they're not as eventful. You can't do wheelies on cruisers. You can't go off-road with cruisers. The only thing I would probably change on this bike specifically is just the bars. I'd probably have them hang back a little bit further, but and maybe the pegs too. The pegs flare out pretty far, almost like highway pegs. But wow, dude, this is an awesome experience. I'm so happy I got to ride this thing. When you have this much torque underneath your legs, man, dude, that is some type of experience. But let me tell you the things I don't like about this cruiser. Like I said, I don't really like the seating position. I think the bars are a little bit too far forward. I'm a little hunched. Not too much of a big deal, but it is what it is. Another thing that's a downside for cruisers is their weight, dude. Their weight is ridiculous. These things weigh like 500 or 600 pounds, and that can be an issue for some people just because it's intimidating. You know, even though the seat height on my bike is a little bit scary for some people because you can't flat foot it. I can't flat foot it on my bike on the GRZ 400. but it's light, it's nimble. You can toss it around a little bit compared to other bikes. This one, wow, dude, you gotta come onto this thing with some confidence, because you do not want to be sitting on a bike that's too heavy for you or too much power, because it is torque, man. Like, you hear that? That's the sound of torque. It's it's intoxicating, really. 'Cause, I mean, even though the top speed on this isn't that crazy, the torque is amazing, dude. It feels so good. Such a different experience. Really, just such a different experience. And honestly, if I had the money to get like a Honda Shadow or maybe something a little bit bigger, I would love to have a cruiser. You know? Let me know what you guys think. If you guys made it this far in the video, guys, tell me what you think I should get for a second bike, because I'm gonna make moves in the future, man, and whether that be a new vehicle, be a truck, or be a new bike, I want to hear what you guys think. That one of the big upsides to having a bike like this is really just the amount of authority it has when you're on the street. And let me elaborate a little bit. When I say authority, I mean just the presence that this bike has versus my DRZ 400. My brother's an asshole, and he always gives me crap, and he's like, oh yeah, when are you gonna get a real bike? When are you gonna get a real bike? Oh, that's kind of funny. He asked me when I'm gonna get a real bike, because the DRZ 400 is just such small displacement, and you know, it's just different. And I know he's just giving me a hard time. But I kind of get what he means when it's like, dude, this is real talk. This is a freaking man's bike, dude. When you, I mean, just rev bombing someone, like people hear you, dude. People know you're there, and it goes into that whole deal of just being heard. So you know, people know your presence and know that there's a bike maybe splitting up to the front of the line that you should watch out for. I get some hate comments for splitting lanes up to the front of the line. I probably won't do it in this wide of a bike, but guys, California, it's legal to split lanes. Does it mean it's smart? No, not in every case. But if I'm splitting lanes up to a red light, I don't see how there's any danger in that, being that, well, I don't know what this Jaguar is doing, but there's no space in between cars. I don't know why a car would turn right and go into me when there's only another car to hit on the other side. So for all the people who worry a little bit or say, hey man, you know, like, oh, you're dumb for, you know, splitting lanes, this and that, dude, it's to a red light. There's no danger in that, really. And honestly, I think it's almost safer to do that, because I'd much rather split up to a red light and be in between two different cars. Oh, that's what he's doing. Rather than to be like the person in the back of the line that a car doesn't see and they rear end you. You can't get rear ended when you're in between two cars. That's like virtually impossible. The handlebars, we already talked about that, but the grips on these bikes are always huge. And I do like that. I like that, you know, they're, you know, it's a lot to grab onto. It's nice. But the downside of that, it gives you less control of your hands when I'm trying to grab the rear brake and rev match a little bit. You know, I have to have so much hand on it, and I have like medium-sized hands. I don't have tiny hands, I don't have huge hands, and it just gets a little annoying a little bit to have so much grip to grab onto, and it kind of blocks your way of the front brake and the clutch a little bit. The other thing I'd probably say is just the lack of diversity and versatility, if you will. I bought my dual sport, as you guys know, because I love being able to do anything on it. I could go anywhere on that bike. That's amazing. That's really cool. That's something that's very hard to beat, and a lot of big moto vloggers will even tell you, they'll say the most fun I ever had was actually on my dual sport, my old WR250R, cough cough, or you know, my DRZ 400. Woo! Man, drunk in the power, man. So, you know, when you have a bike that can do it all, I will say that's pretty hard to beat. No top speed, no amount of torque will really beat that, in my mind at least. You know, for me to have that type of versatility is really, really cool. It enters a new realm of bikes, which is the enduro class. And that's why I love them so much, because I don't need a bike with the highest top speed. I don't need a bike with the most torque. I just want a bike that's gonna be quick, nimble, and just be able to, you know, I could take it anywhere. I could take my bike camping. I could take my bike to Washington when I go visit my dad. You know, that's really cool. It's very hard to beat. These people who say, oh yeah, Harleys are slow and cruisers aren't fun and all this stuff, that's a bunch of BS, dude. These bikes are cool. They're its own class. You can't enjoy bikes and tell me you don't like this bike, basically. Wow. Oh, let me red bomb it. Oh yeah, that sounds amazing. For all the people who want advice from what cruiser you should get, I honestly think a great starting cruiser would be a Honda Rebel 250. For all the people who are like brand spanking new to bikes. For all the people that have been riding a little bit and maybe want to get into cruisers but they don't really know what it's all about, you can start on a bigger bike. You can start on a bike like this. It's not too much. But if you want to be a little bit safer, I would say more of like a Honda Shadow. And the reason why I'm not talking about Harleys right now is because my audience isn't really targeted towards the people who can drop 25K on a Harley. I love Harleys, and if I had all the money in the world, I would definitely have one. But you know, I'm catering more to the people who are on a budget and just want a really usable bike that's going to be super reliable. Get on a cruiser, man. These bikes are fun.